Hello friends, it's nice to see you. As you can see, we're not in the library where we were yesterday. Today, we're actually in my own house. And what happened was, well, I recorded a springtime video. And while I was doing all my other work in the background, all I could hear was somebody telling me that I should read a frog story. Can you guess who that somebody is? That's right, it's my friend the frog over here. He kept saying, "Would you read a froggy story? Would you read a froggy story?" Well, then I figured I better read a froggy story. So, I picked out one of my favorite froggy stories. We're not going to read the whole book, but if you have this one at home, I would recommend reading it, or any of the Frog and Toad stories. They're pretty fantastic. The story we're going to read today is in the book Frog and Toad Together, and it's by Arnold Lobel. The story we're going to read is called The Garden. Frog was in his garden. Toad came walking by. "What a fine garden you have, Frog," he said. "Yes," said Frog. It is very nice, but it was hard work." "I wish I had a garden," said Toad. "Here are some flower seeds. Plant them in the ground," said Frog, "and soon you will have a garden." "How soon?" asked Toad. "Quite soon," said Frog. Toad ran home. He planted the seeds. He planted the flower seeds. "Now, seeds," said Toad, "start growing." Toad walked up and down a few times. The seeds did not start to grow. Toad put his head close to the ground and said loudly, "Now, seeds, start growing." Toad looked at the ground again. The seeds did not start to grow. Toad put his head very close to the ground and shouted, "Now, seeds, start growing." Frog came running up the path. "What is all this noise?" he asked. "My seeds will not grow," said Toad. "Oh, you are shouting too much," said Frog. "These poor seeds are afraid to grow." "My seeds are afraid to grow?" asked Toad. "Of course," said Frog. "Leave them alone for a few days. Let the sun shine on them. Let the rain fall on them. Soon your seeds will start to grow." What do you guys think? Are they going to start growing? Well, let's turn the page and find out. Well, that night, Toad looked out of his window. "Drat," said Toad. "My seeds have not started to grow. They must be afraid of the dark." Toad went out to his garden with some candles. "I will read the seeds a story," said Toad. "Then they will not be afraid." Toad read a long story to his seeds. All the next day, Toad sang songs to his seeds. And all the next day, Toad read poems to his seeds. And all the next day, Toad played music for his seeds. Toad looked at the ground. The seeds still did not start to grow. "What shall I do?" cried Toad. "These must be the most frightened seeds in the whole world." Then Toad felt very tired, and he fell asleep. I would be tired too if I sang and played music and read poems to seeds, wouldn't you? "Toad, Toad, wake up!" said Frog. "Look at your garden." Toad looked at his garden. Little green plants were coming out of the ground. "At last," shouted Toad, "my seeds have stopped being afraid to grow." "And now you will have a nice garden too," said Frog. "Yes," said Toad, "but you were right, Frog. It was very hard work." Wow, that was a pretty fun story. Do any of you guys have gardens at home? I have one too, but mine is all covered with snow right now. So I'm feeling a little bit like Toad and being a little impatient about it. Well, Frog, what do you think we should read next? Any ideas? What's this? You brought another Frog and Toad stories? Oh, Frog, you are the silliest. Well, I'll see you soon.